Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 126th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by Hans Beckett, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Oh, hey.
Wait, what'd you say?
Well, I didn't even know you started. I couldn't hear you guys. My thing totally, I literally just heard you speak when you just introduced me. Wait, what'd you introduce me as?
I said you're Hans. Oh, damn it, you didn't hear it. Hans Beckett.
Yeah, I think I did that. Hey. How you
Did
going?
you see that one coming?
Hmm.
Andy inspired me in the Discord, so that's what happened.
Yeah, I just deleted his message. I mean, it
Did you
disappeared,
really?
sorry. It disappeared.
Is that... Please tell me that's the first time you've done that. Or actually, tell me it's not. I dare you.
Actually, there was another time, but we won't go into that.
Okay, alright. Damn, precedent though. And we've also got Jaden here. Oh shit, hang on, I forgot the nickname. Did you see someone hate a Jaden?
Dude, I literally don't know what you guys have been saying for the last minute.
I just forgot to say Jaden's nickname because I feel like we've been doing the episode for the last 40 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
So I was just, a bit off with it today, but it's all good. It's all good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. Just the reminder that I bring up once every 6 months. You can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, probably some other podcast apps that I don't know about because it gets uploaded places automatically I don't know about. So subscribe on all those places, all those apps, and leave us a 5-star rating, you pussy. All right, anyway, this week we're reviewing a film called M, as in the letter M, as you can see in the title, which opened in Germany on the 11th of May, 1931. It was directed by Fritz. It is a crime thriller, and the synopsis says, when the police in a German city are unable to catch a child murderer, other criminals join in the manhunt. Sick. Jaden, I'll let you take it away, if you don't mind. What do you think of M?
It's pretty decent. I left watching this till last minute. Very much how I leave my projects till last minute. So I started it last night, fell asleep, and I finished it this morning. So probably not the best viewing experience, and it's probably hindered my perception of the film.
This sounds like a Zach viewing experience.
But yeah, no, I think it was decent. I think I fell asleep at the about an hour and 20 mark, when they're going to siege the building and find old Hans. So it's actually it's an okay time to break, because I don't know, it's kind of, there's a distinction between before that and after that, because after that is mostly just a trial. So it wasn't too bad, but no, it was pretty decent. Yeah.
Cool. Fitzy, what about you?
It was super boring. I don't know. I kind of see how it's impressive in terms of how well it does the basics kind of. It feels like a kind of a very well storyboarded film or some shit. Every scene has a purpose, I guess. But I just felt the society freaking out, all that stuff, and all the stuff about the freakouts about the murder was really goofy and dull. And then kind of when it got to them chasing him, it was kind of, I don't know, them finding him was super basic as well. They just opened doors and shit. And it wasn't very tense. Sorry, I'm a bit sick, and then, yeah, the trial at the end was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty good. But other than that, it was just super boring, I felt, yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. I don't know, I don't really want to discuss the film in terms of my experience watching it as much because, I totally agree in the lack of tension, by the way. I was just watching this film and, I don't know, because I'm a dumbass entitled viewer of modern media, I was like, wow, this audio is terrible. And then I do some research afterward, and it's this film is heralded for its revolutionary use of audio in cinema. I'm like, oh well, cool. So that's sort of the lens that's worth throwing out there that I'm viewing this through. But I don't know. Yeah. So with that in mind, I found it fairly boring as well. I was mostly engaged. Really, the only time I would say this film really hooked me was the trial at the end. I was actually found myself quite invested at that point. Yeah, no, like for me, what's way more interesting for me to frame this conversation around and do justice to the film is some of the historical context surrounding it. And I was trying to learn a bit more about that before we started, but that was really where my main level of enjoyment with it was, because I was viewing it less as a film into like how I'd normally watch a film, and more as like I was trying to view a piece of history and thinking about it that
Mm.
way, you know. So I sort of enjoyed it in that sense, I guess, in that very specific way.
Yeah. Well, I think I tried to look at that fuck. I tried to look at it from that way too, and like in terms of its like purity, I think it's a really great film. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
it
totally.
definitely feels both that it's a well constructed film and that it's a film from a long, long time ago. Like
Yeah,
it's
100%.
impressive. It's an impressive film. Yeah.
That's what I find wild about it. Like, when was the Jane? You probably know, hopefully. Like, when was the transition from the? Because I know this was Fritz's first film with sound, or with
Mm.
I don't know, the first talkie that he made, I guess. Um, because when was that transition? Because his previous film was Metropolis in, I think, 1928. So within that 3 year difference, was that mainly when it was like 1930 sort of onwards, to your knowledge, or?
Um, I want to say that 1927 was the first talkie in America. I think it was called the Jazz Singer.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what we were told. Can't remember exactly, but Germany was a lot economically poorer back then than the Yankees, so like it probably did take a few years for them to get sound technology.
Mm.
Yeah, I thought the audio was actually quite alright considering the age.
Well, yeah,
Um,
that's the thing. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for sure. I was so. What is the difference between like a talkie and a silent film? Because silent films still had music, right? Like it wasn't like there was no sound in them.
yeah. So like with Metropolis, it is just like someone, it's just putting a score over the film. And the way that they would do that back when they were showing the film in cinemas back then is that they'd have a live person playing the music. They'd have a live
Oh,
person playing like the
okay,
piano and stuff. Like
interesting.
in the Watchmen TV show, in like the flashbacks to Tulsa, like in the like the early days, like
Yeah,
the main character, like the kid's mom, her profession was playing the piano at the cinemas. So like that's what like people did, like to kind of have that sound during the silent era of like just just having the score. Whereas
right.
now talkies, you're actually recording sound and then putting it over like the track so you can export it, like not export it, you can export
Yeah,
it
yeah,
as a
yeah.
product. you know
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. So then, if you're watching, say, one of these older um, silent films now, you're watching it like they've, I guess, since in these restorations they've done at various points, they've gone back and like basically, because I assume like they, when
yeah,
you're watching it in the theater, the score is like you play the same score every time, the musician in the room, but they've just
yeah,
gone back and like done that in post and made it as part of the actual thing.
yeah, I think I think there was variations in like the score just across, because depending on like the quality of the player and like what they're able to do and stuff, there would
Mm.
have been variations from cinema to cinema. But like the director definitely had a choice, and this is what I wanted to do, and like that's what they tried to restore it with, I guess.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I never really
Because I
thought
think
about that.
the Metropolis version I have, it does mention, because like the Metropolis I have is a reconstructed version, and I think it says that there's a different score to like the top than the usual version of it. So yeah,
Oh, okay. So yeah, I get the sound for me in this film. Like, it was my main takeaway, of course. Like, yeah, totally worth bearing in mind. Like, this is one of the first films with sound. Like, one of the first. Like, how crazy it must have been to go to the theater and like, oh my god, there's like speakers playing shit as I'm watching this, and people can speak in this movie. Like, how wild that must have been at the time. So that's totally worth bearing in mind. But for me, like, as a modern viewer, like, music and score and sound is such an important part of tension building that, all of the conventions of what I'm used to of how that is generated and created by, filmmakers, it just doesn't exist yet. So, like, those conventions of filmmaking don't exist. So, like, watching this film, I'm sort of just like the whole time thinking something's just missing from it. I felt like a core component of my investment just wasn't there as a result of that. Like, the scene where the sequence where they're trying to chase him through the building or locate him or whatever. Like the whole time, I'm just thinking, wow, it's just really quiet, and I'm just sort of like, looking away, and I don't know, looking at my watch, and that's just because of the sound. But yeah, it was very weird. It was a very bizarre experience, honestly. But yeah, good for them, I guess. Like, was there actually? I don't recall any moments of significant score in the film at all. But am I wrong about
No,
that?
no. I was trying to think of that as well. I don't think there is. I
Yeah.
think the fact that there's no foley is probably like the most disorientating thing as well.
So is there not?
No, there's no foley at all. Um, it's only
Interesting.
like the only. I think the only audio you hear is the voices, and I think there might have been occasionally a score, although I can't really recall it.
Yeah, yeah. So I was because it does feel like Andy wrote a very long review that I've read. He's told me not to read the whole thing. I appreciate that, Andy, but he brought up some really interesting points, and he brought up that he thought maybe in the audio restoration, like, he felt the same thing and thought like maybe chunks of it were missing, or like they couldn't be restored or something, because that is sort of what it felt like. There were moments of sort of like just nothing to hear at all. Like there were moments where I thought, oh, my headphones have like
Yeah.
disconnected or something. But that was never the case. But then there were some moments. That's why I was curious about the foley, because there were some moments where there was sound of things, people moving things, and like there was a scene where characters were running down the stairs, and the sound you can hear that. I'm like running down the
Oh,
stairs.
was there?
So yeah, there was for sure.
I might
So
be getting two things. Okay.
but it was. I was thinking about that because I was like, it's clear that there's a lack of Foley overall, but I was trying to figure out, like, does that mean the sound that is here is just sound like picked up on set? But that doesn't make any sense, does it? Like,
No. Yeah.
I don't think so. So it is like some things were designed, but not others. And then I got into thinking, like, is it a what was the film we did? Good, the Bad, and the Ugly situation. Like, is everything dubbed? All the dialogue?
Yeah. All the dialogue stuff in that.
Yeah. So were they recording dialogue on set at this time? I would sort of assume not.
Leona is kind of famous for not recording on the set. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I think there
Okay.
was productions that did it, but for like he personally didn't do it. Like he always went back to the studio
Okay,
because
I see.
because his productions involved like people a lot from like Italy, US, France, whatever.
Yeah.
Like because they're all speaking different languages sometimes. Like there's no like they're speaking their own language and then they just get someone else to dub it.
Oh, that's wild. It's just, you don't even know like exactly what they're saying on set, but just like, oh, who
Yeah.
cares? He's speaking. We'll just make him say whatever we want later. If there was truly no sound recorded on set, like every sound you hear is designed after the fact, and that means that like the limited Foley we sort of get sometimes, like I think that when characters sometimes are shifting things around on desks and things, there is some. So it's almost like weird to think back to an audio sound designer at the time and like what they chose to include and not include, because there's so much of it that's just dead noise that like you think I should be hearing something here, but then other times there's not and there is, and it's like
Well,
it's
did you
just
read the
bizarre.
trivia for the film?
I read some, yeah. Is
Because
there
in the
something
trivia,
obvious?
they mention how like sound recording equipment was like stupid expensive. So like they only hired it out for 2/3 worth of the film. So like the and like but like
Huh.
so it became an intentional thing of to like leave portions of utter silence just 'cause, like one they couldn't afford it,
Interesting.
but two because they couldn't afford it, it became a choice of just like like a design choice because like they chose where to
Right.
do it.
Right. That explains the sort of inconsistency of it, I guess. It's so hard to talk about this. Like it didn't work for me at all, I guess is what I'm saying. But it's bizarre, and I can't even imagine like being the person who had to design this without, you've got nothing to base this off. Like it's not like anyone had any idea of how to properly design audio for a film at this time. Like, because you were just doing it. You were the first dude doing it. I don't know. You're just giving it a crack. But while I'm on the audio side of things, another sort of very revolutionary aspect of this film was the fact that Peter Law's character is introduced by the musical cue in the Hall of the Mountain King from Edward Grieg's, oh Jesus Christ, Peer Gynt's Suite Number One. It's the damn tune that everyone knows. Jane, do you want to care to do it for the audience?
No,
Oh, damn it! All right,
actually,
I
I
don't
actually don't
remember it
remember.
now. You watched it
The
this
thing is, I don't
morning.
remember it now either. But the thing is, because like Apocalypse Now was fucking playing in the background last night, and like so, like the fucking theme of the Valkyries is like in my head. So like when you say that,
Ah,
like that's like I'm like shit. Is that what I'm thinking of? Or I think of the other one.
what the hell is
Yeah,
it? Oh,
hold on,
everyone knows it.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
Dun 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 dun. Wait, no, that isn't it.
No, yeah, you see,
Was that?
is it that one
That's
or is it another that
Valkyries.
one?
Right.
Yeah, that's what, exactly. That's what. Yeah.
I don't think it was that one, but it's.
Oh, because it's in the social network as well. There was a version. Oh, what was it? Oh yeah, it's dun 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 dun.
Is that it? Is that what he was
I
doing?
think so. Well,
Okay.
that's in the Hall of the Mountain King. So if that's that, then that's that. I
Okay.
guess.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Everyone knows that tune. Anyway, this was one of the very first times that a musical theme was used to signify a character in a film. So this is a technique known as a leitmotif, which is borrowed from the
Leitmotif.
world. Hey,
Isn't it leitmotif?
I've always heard leitmotif, but I don't know.
Really?
You could be right. You could be right.
No.
Leitmotif. I mean, it is a foreign word. That's interesting. The word is borrowed from the world of opera, and it's now a staple of filmmaking. So the idea, it's essentially saying that the film invented the idea of a character having a theme associated with them, which is crazy, by the way. Like the fact that this is the first film, I'm almost glad I watched the film just for that alone. Like the fact of, yeah, I've seen the first film that had a character theme in it. As someone who loves character themes in schools and stuff, like that's awesome. I love that. So that was really interesting. But the interesting thing about it is the fact that it's always diegetic, right? Like it's always because the character's whistling it. Like what was the first film, for example, to like have a leitmotif non-diegetic, you know? Because I feel like it's a whole different ball game there.
I think it would come pretty soon after this. I think there was a kind of like a rapid evolution of sound and just film in those next few years.
Mm.
Because I think by the time Citizen Kane rolls around, which is 1942, I'm almost positive like the characters had their own themes in that.
Really? It
If I
is
remember
crazy to think
correctly.
how fast cinema evolved from this. Like this was 1931, the first audio and film, and then like, you
Not
know,
first audio and film.
oh, well, you know, close enough. And then, and then, like, goddamn, you know,
Wizard
20
of
years
Oz.
later, like, a lot of the conventions of what we understand audio and stuff to be in films was already well established. Like, you know, you watch films from the 50s and it's not like they're very recognizable today still
Wait,
in
you
terms
watch
of
films
their
from the 50s?
techniques. I've seen some on the waterfront.
3, 2.
yeah, no, for sure. It's probably 3. Yeah. So yeah, I just find
Yeah,
that evolution was just so quick, and is really those conventions still stick around today.
yeah. It's impressive when you think of like the Wizard of Oz's achievement being that it was like the transition to color kind of. Not that it was the first film to do that, but like how great the colors in that film was, and that was in 1939 apparently. So
God, it's
I thought it
that
was
old.
yeah, I thought it was 1941, but yeah, but within 8 years, like that's a crazy difference, you know.
Absolutely.
And like the Wizard of Oz, like if you think about the sound and the characters in that, it's like amazing.
Yeah, I
It's
haven't seen
such
the
a
film in a long
rapid
time, but
transformation.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Another thing to think about that I was thinking about anyway was the fact that like this goddamn movie is 90 years old, and like as I'm watching it, like I don't know, I'm one of those weird people where I'm watching it and I'm just can't help but constantly be thinking like of all the implications of that. Like I'm just constantly thinking, wow, everyone I'm watching on screen is dead. Wow, this was before World War II. You know, wow, this was before the Nazis took control of this country. Like I just get thinking all that shit constantly, and I just found it fascinating for that alone. Like the fact of the sort of role it played as well with like I think. Oh yeah, here we go. Sorry, I've got the trivia. In Germany, the Nazis banned the movie in July of 1934, not long after it came out. So, like, that's how I just couldn't wrap my head around that for a little bit, you know?
It's really interesting that not previous because he had one between, but like Metropolis, which he did a few years prior, it was loved by the Nazi Party. But even though it was like a strict criticism of everything they stood for, but like just like the way they like the way that Goebbels like interpreted it was that like it was like everything that they wanted to put in practice was kind of shown in Metropolis, and like they just didn't see the criticism in it, kind of. So like yeah,
That's hilarious.
they loved Metropolis, although it was very against it.
Isn't that funny how that's like the classic way that most people would misinterpret a film's message? It's like, I don't know, what's like the most modern
Well,
example?
it's the way
Maybe like
that
The Last
Animal
Jedi
Farm
or
was
something.
like Animal Farm was banned in the USSR and America because one thought it was criticizing capitalism, one thought it was criticizing communism. So like they both got banned, although yeah.
Which one was it? For real?
I mean, it's just more about authoritarianism in general.
Oh, okay, fair. Well, that's so. I just find that shit hilarious.
Oh, 1984. Sorry, not Animal Farm. What am I fucking talking about?
I'm glad you corrected yourself. I wasn't going to correct you. No idea. Yeah, but it's just funny to think like people we misinterpret films all the time. I misinterpret films all the time. It's just hilarious to think that like the Nazis misinterpreted the film, like as to that extent, like the most like important like scale of potential misinterpretation possible occurred for Metropolis. But I can't like why do you think the Nazis banned this film?
That becomes from a point of view of like the Nazis banned a lot of things that didn't align with their values of like being a proper German. So they had like this like they were really keen on this whole like being like being a proper German citizen and like kind of like this really like strong traditional kind of outlook. Like a lot of contemporary like views, ideas, and products were banned. Like there was this architectural style coming out of Germany at the time called Bauhaus, and they banned that because it was too modern. And like so, it's one of those things where the film was not necessarily modern, but like it was too dark for themes that they want that they wanted Germany to be known for.
Okay, I get that. Yeah, they don't really want like
A child murdering film
the
to be
idea
their
of
most
child
famous
murder
product.
is yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Running loose on the streets, the police are sort of half incompetent in it. Well, no, they get there in the end, I guess. But yeah, I understand that. Don't clip that. So Zach just said, "I understand the Nazis." Jesus. Oh, the images in the film were cool. I liked them. I thought it had a lot of atmosphere. Something else I read was that this film was very influential for noir as a genre. And reading that after the fact, I thought was interesting because I can see that. Obviously, I don't really understand the context of how it was influential exactly, but like I was trying to piece it together sort of afterwards, and I could sort of see, yeah, it did feel creepy, it did feel atmospheric, especially mainly just the stuff for me was the stuff I liked the most was when we're just out on the streets in Berlin. Oh, sorry, I said Berlin in my notes, but that's not actually named the city, is it? When we're out on the streets of the city.
I mean, it's a city of 4 million. Like, I don't think there's really any other city in Germany that has that population at the time.
Oh, did they say there's 4 million people there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, then, yes, hopefully it was Berlin. Everything out there on the streets with, there's a lot of shadows, and I think that expression for me visually came through. The noir sort of stylings of it did come through, even though even though it's black and white, even though black and white is like totally noir. But I don't know, for me, like I did find it striking at times, like the shot of the goddamn Hans, coming onto his shadow coming onto his wanted poster was cool, and there were some other shots, like as the police were rounding people up about halfway through. A lot of these shots are like high up, like the camera's quite high up, and the camera's always stationary in the film. It never really moves, and the shots are long. So it almost at times...
There's plenty of kind of like tracking shots. What do you want about?
Mostly internally, right? Like mostly when you're in a room with dialogue.
There was some... No, I feel like I remember some on the cityscape where like it kind of like tracked down a street. It wasn't much, but like there was.
Oh, really?
I feel like there was present. Unless I'm
okay. No, you're probably right. The ones that really stood out to me, like at times I sort of felt like the film didn't feel very kinetic because of when it was made. Like I sort of felt like I was watching a slideshow, not in a bad way. Like there were a lot of like very well staged, very well blocked shots, so with lots of actors and lots of stuff happening on screen, like with these large sets. That was cool. But the camera was just like, I don't know, it felt like the camera was just like 2 stories up and just looking down at everything. And it was like the shot went for like 10 seconds. Like I feel like there was a lot of that, which was impressive scale wise, but it sort of created its own rhythm to it, I think. Yeah.
Well, now that I think about it, like I was expecting this film to be Citizen Kane, but like Citizen Kane is Citizen Kane. Like Citizen Kane is, from my understanding, like one of the first films to kind of like actually fully utilize like the potentials of like camera techniques and like cinematography and all these things. And I was expecting this film to kind of like be innovative in that way, but I guess Citizen Kane is just that movie that did that. And up to that point, it was more basic shit. Like I agree with you. Like this film is super stable. There's no like cool. There's not many like cool close-ups or moments that like shock you or anything like that. In terms of those things. So yeah, I think it's just supposed to be impressive for other matters. I guess I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
I think you're right.
important to acknowledge the fact that like at this point the background of most of these creatives would be in theater and like kind of stage production, and even for these actors, like that's why like for a long time like people would call it overacting now, but like these kind of like, and I think you could definitely say it.
And I did in my
film
notes,
as well.
by the way.
Yeah, like it's sure it is overacting, but it's because like I think a lot of these people are trained to do that for the stage, because you know on the stage you need to perform to the back row, and the way you do that is through making everything a little bit more kind of, you know, erratic, grander, you know, whatever kind of, you know, accounting for that. So I think, you know, I think a lot of the acting in this is just, you know, if you want to call it overacting, it's subscribed to that, but also in the way that you tell a story, is, you know, you're telling a story for a stage or for a lot of times. So that I think that's why like it's so static in terms of, if you know, in terms of camera and just like kind of set like the way that things are blocked.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel that because I've heard that about Citizen Kane, about how it was, you know, created these different, like, I don't know, like zooms and dolly shots and all this sort of shit that like it basically did for the first time. But yeah, I feel like if I'd watched, I feel like I'm going to appreciate Citizen Kane more now that I've watched this first. Like I feel like if I just watched Citizen Kane,
Yeah.
like I'd be like, oh yeah, whatever. But now that I understood what came before, that's going to help, because this film, it has cool imagery, 100%. Like there are some standout shots that I already mentioned, but it's cool images, but there's nothing technically like going on in them, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because like you don't even realize, like if you just watch Citizen Kane as kind of like the oldest or second oldest film you've seen, like you don't realize how much shit is going into it that doesn't exist yet. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think this film like actually like gave me more appreciation of films that come after it in this era. But, yeah.
The thing is, I still don't think. I think I think it's going to be difficult to find a film of this era for you to that you'd like. I don't think. I still don't think you'd like Citizen Kane, Zach. I think you would need something a bit more actiony. So like that's why like All Quiet on the Western Front, I think would honestly be a good film for you, because it's kinetic, it's exciting, it is a great story, great character. It feels like a modern film, but from that time period. Whereas I think a lot of other, I think even Citizen Kane, you feel the time period it was made in, whereas All Quiet on the Western Front can be very easily translated into modern day.
I disagree about it. Like Citizen Kane feels extremely modern, but
it in terms of the way it's made, yeah. But the story, the
story is really complex. Like the way it's told is really complex as well.
But I think what it's talking about isn't modern, and I think that's gonna you know, take a lot of people out of it. You know, like two media moguls, and like the thing is, the story is interesting. So. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a fantastic film, but I don't think that Citizen Kane has a mass appeal that some other films from this period do. I think it's easy to feel the period that Citizen Kane was made in.
Jan, you already brought it up a little bit. How do you feel about Peter Lord's performance? Because I feel like you're not on the overacting side.
No, I think his performance was fantastic, genuinely, especially that trial. Like we've all acknowledged that the trial is probably like the best part of the film, but I think it is generally like just a top moment in film. I think he does so well in this. He's just it's just so like fascinating seeing a dialogue he delivers here is so perfect, and like just like people have echoed this type of thing in products, fucking from for the next 90 years, and I think that kind of his version of the voices made me do it is so much better than everything else I've seen that says the voices made me do it.
That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that specific line up. Yeah,
like it's I like there was this British guy that was acting at the same time, and he reminds me a lot of that guy. I can't remember the British guy's name, but like there's a lot of similarities in like the kind of performance here. I thought it was great.
I'm glad you brought that up, because the first thing that struck me was, when he started going, I can't help it, voices in my head, all that sort of shit. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. But then that's the part of me that's got to go back. I'm like, hang on, no, dude, this was made in 1930. Like, everything's copying this. Like, that's what I've got to sort of go back to. And with that in mind, that's a really good point. I did think that part was good. I liked Peter Lorre in the film. I did. I think I liked him more. Like, as he was sort of just creeping around the street as he thought he was getting away with it. Like, I thought he had a nice moment when it was like a cafe or whatever it was, when he sat down for a second. So like, no, I really liked him. I definitely thought it was overacting by my standards, but again, not really fair to use that as a criticism, because I think you're totally right about what you said earlier about, the theatre stuff, Shannon. So it was overacting, like, in terms of what I'm used to, but I thought he was good. But I don't know. At the same time, like, would you say that it was even a bit over the top compared to his castmates in the film? Like, the dude, the leader of the other gang, I don't know who he is, but like, I thought he was quite subtle.
Yeah, fair point. But did you read in the trivia about Peter Lorre's background in acting?
No.
So he was a
sorry,
comedic
he's comedic. Yeah.
So like,
right.
this is the equivalent of casting Adam Sandler as a serial killer, right? So like, I think like
Cool.
that, like, fair enough. Like, yeah, his performance is a bit overacted, compared to his mates, perhaps. But I think that's just him bringing his background into it again. Just like,
Yeah,
just just trying to do, yeah.
that makes sense.
Um,
What'd you think, Fitzy?
no, that was great. I thought that, like, it was easily, whenever it was on screen, it was like the most entertaining parts of the film. Like, his reactions to like being followed and chased and stuff are great as well. That's literally like the letterbox, like not the poster, but the thing on the top. When you go to like a film and there's
The
like
banner?
a thing on the top. Yeah, banner. Yeah, it's like his eyes or whatever.
Yeah, I liked a review that said something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he brings something to it that's really entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I did like a lot when every time he was. Well, I think you're right what you said earlier, Fitzy, about him like sneaking around the building and stuff wasn't that engrossing necessarily, but I did like the little acting moments he had of like every time he thought he was about to be caught, and like as they were like when he's sitting crouched in the room amongst all the clutter in the room and they're coming past the door, and every time he thinks he's about to be caught, like I thought he was quite entertaining.
Yeah, everyone else is a bit too like dull to watch until maybe the courtroom scene, not the courtroom scene, I mean the under the tunnel scene or whatever you want to call it, where like the subtlety of that leader character does like come out, and he's kind of like, you can kind of see his like control and like power and stuff. So that was cool. But like until that, like watching that crew like stumble around the building is kind of not very, very fun. Not as fun as watching the guy with the big eyes,
Definitely. Yeah, that's true. I found talking about parts that weren't as engaging was, for me, definitely everything like following the gang and following the civilians and stuff. Like, basically everything indoors, in the first 2/3, like, was just boring.
Yeah, I found that actually like extremely boring. Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I was sitting with characters, and there's a few scenes with like, I don't know who they are, important people, governors or like detectives or whatever. I don't know, police people, and I was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw a review saying like that Fritz like made like society the main protagonist, whatever. Like the whole, like like 2/3 of the film is basically set up where everyone in is like freaking out and like you're showing like the impacts he has on people, which I guess makes it kind of, which I guess gives like context, or I guess it makes it have gravitas. But I don't really. I don't know. It's interesting. I've never seen like a film do it like this. I guess because usually it's just like some characters who are like compelled, like to catch the killer or whatever.
Right.
But in this one, it's like the whole society is like bothered. They're annoyed because they have to watch the children. They have to watch all the streets and stuff, and all that.
It really is. The film does very much position it as it's everyone versus Hans.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, and that scene where he like the one shock of the film was where he like goes in that tunnel and everyone is staring at him with a long pan. I thought that was pretty incredible, because as you're saying, like the film is so stable, the film is so still, and then you have and there's no shock. I mean, I thought this film was originally I thought this film was going to be about someone who was wrongly accused of being a child murderer or whatever, and then he'd be like chased across all types of streets, and it'd be kind of very suspense ridden, and it's really the opposite of that. So like, and when you get used to that, and then get to that tunnel, it really is like a shock, and I think that pan's really effective. Just seeing all the staring faces is like, goddamn. Like I smiled. I was like, talking about audible reactions from last week. That was I had a 1 minute audible reaction. I was like, oh, that's cool. I love that. Yeah.
That was cool because it keeps going and you're like, man, there's a lot of people in this room. So when's it going to end? Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, on that, we've alluded to it as being our favorite part a few times, but in terms of the trial itself, it really was really good, I think. Like, it was the best third act I could have possibly hoped for. I don't even think it was that long, though, was it? Like, it was, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes?
Yeah, it wasn't too long. Like, I was looking at the runtime, it was kind of like... Yeah, that was another thing, because, like, I thought there would be extended kind of... Like I said, extended kind of battle, I guess, between him and the... Like, they just kind of get him, and then I'm like, okay, what happens now? So, yeah. It was kind of short. But it was... Yeah, it was really good. I mean, the defense lawyer kind of as well added a kind of interesting part to it.
Totally. How these guys, like, what actually are they? By the way, are they they're a gang of criminals? That's sort of all I picked up on. But is there anything more
they're
specific?
like a gang of robbers or something, or like an under. I guess they're like the under. What do you call it? The underbelly or whatever, underworld? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but are they like a mob?
I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's also
everyone was there though. Like everyone, like it wasn't just like in that the people in the room for the trial. It wasn't just like gang members or whatever. Like all the women were there and the children, and I don't know if children were there, but like it felt like just random people just turned up to watch this.
Yeah, got the whole club. Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe that like comes back to what Jada was saying earlier about like Nazis banning this, because like the citizens are kind of led by this criminal group, and like at the end the trial is very illegal and very kind of wrong. So I guess maybe they thought the interpretation of society in this wasn't the best, but
yeah, that's true, especially when like I feel like the whole thing at the end is presenting the audience with a question relating to justice and what should happen to Hans, and sort of puts that in the audience's hands after after the defense lawyer's point and after the other counter arguments being made by the people in the crowd that you can't be let loose again and all this stuff, and then it sort of leaves it in the audience's hands, the question. And I don't know, maybe that's something that the Nazis don't want is this idea of like, justice can be, so it maybe makes them feel weaker or something if justice isn't imposed by them, but like this idea that the people bring it about themselves or whatever.
Well, nobody
Uh,
likes vigilantism.
Well, sure, yeah, including the Nazis, I guess.
Yeah.
Clearly, but yeah, the defense lawyer was an interesting addition. I don't know, like, how do we feel about the whole dilemma at the end? I guess I was picking up on themes of punishment versus rehabilitation and these different legal ideas, and what's the purpose of incarceration and all this sort of stuff. So I assume Germany at the time had the death penalty because there was never a question of he's going to prison, really.
yeah, it was. Because
Was
they
it?
they were like saying, like the whole debate in the room was kind of like, oh, he's going to get out after like 15 years and then he'll be on the street again, he'll be loose again. That's why they wanted to kill him.
They were talking about like
Whoa.
it was like if he gets sent to a sanitarium, proves that he's better, then he's released on good behavior. Like even earlier than that, like a few months is what they even said. I think.
Okay, I see. So at the end, him going to the real court in Germany, like he wasn't going to die no matter what at that point.
Well,
Like,
he
is
might
there?
have.
Well, so there is a death penalty.
I'd assume there is.
Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is is the film sort of leaving us on that note of he's about to be sentenced. Like, is it leaving us on that note to have us ponder should he die or not, or is it are there more angles than that? Like, is it trying to
Is that it
suggest
doesn't like it just doesn't matter anymore. Like that's what the mothers say, right? No matter what happens, who cares that their kid's dead? Like it doesn't matter what happens to him now. And like that's why like apparently like in the German language version of the film, it ends with the mothers directly addressing the audience, like looking into the camera and saying, "Watch your kid."
Weird.
But in the
That's
version
weird.
we watched, that last line is cut.
That's weird. Okay. I don't know. Okay, I didn't even view it that way at all. That's interesting. I was sort of thinking of it more as like a question that a philosophical question you wrestle with of like what should happen to him. That's sort of how I was viewing the whole thing.
Yeah,
I
But
think it
yeah, the
was.
idea that doesn't even matter. Yeah,
yeah.
interesting.
I think it can be framed as that, but like yeah, personally, I don't think it was. I think it was just it's done.
Yeah,
I think the fact that we don't actually see the trial, but we just hear the mothers talking about it, kind of says to that.
yeah.
Like
Sure.
the public, gave their opinion. It doesn't matter what the courts say now.
Mm. Yeah, I was thinking about it like, is it a thing where, like legally, is there grounds for him, not being able to be tried for insanity and that sort of thing,
It's
Like
so
on that,
interesting because
yeah, I don't know.
I thought that was such a
Tricky.
modern conversation about like this whole, make this mental illness appeal. Because like I know like it's like the recent Conjuring film did it, and it's the first case in America where like they try to argue about the demons. But the fact that in this film, like the guy says, "Oh, you're just gonna try and do that thing where everyone does. Oh, I was insane and whatever." Like the fact that it was common practice already, like blows my mind. The fact that like
Yeah.
that there was so many kind of accounts like that's nuts.
Yeah, totally. And that's probably, I don't know, like that's more than likely, unless there's, I don't know, advancements in psychology and stuff that I can't even anticipate. I'd imagine it's probably still going to be a thing in 100 years,
Yeah, good. Nah, just kill them all.
Damn. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. I appreciate that. I'm always interested and fascinated by those ideas and the fact that, yeah, it's just, I totally agree. The fact that a film so long ago was playing with them already was cool. Well, already. I'm sure people were questioning this stuff in like ancient Greece as well, but
It's just so interesting that like every other media we've consumed, like Mindhunter especially, like it tells you that serial killers didn't really arrive until the 60s. That's when serial killers were born, according to Mindhunter. But then like if you look at this movie and then you read the trivia about like all the cases that they were like studying for the film, like there was shit tons of serial killers before that. It is in Germany alone. But like like it's interesting just seeing it.
The American perspective. They're not
Yeah,
serial killers if they're not American.
yeah.
I don't know. I thought the last line was kind of I don't want to say weak, but it was kind of, I don't know. I didn't really take anything from the last line, but I thought the trailer itself was pretty interesting. I thought like the acting from the guy was pretty like convincing that he was actually kind of compelled, to kill. Which adds like an interesting angle, I guess. Like I did kind of want to see him die. Like I expected some violence, I guess, which didn't happen. But I mean, I guess that's good. I mean, I guess justice kind of prevailed. I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Sure.
I guess we didn't really figure out what happened, but
Yeah, this film isn't violent at all. Actually, that's a good point. Because I was reading, how it's considered sort of, it was dark and edgy at the time, and it was sort of like, wow, this is dangerous territory to be touching in cinema. And it's like, it's not violent at all. Like, it's only in its themes entirely. Like, there's really nothing
yeah,
else to it.
they didn't show like any gruesome
No.
killings or anything.
All right, let's get into our final verdicts for M. Jaded.
Yeah, I'll slap a 7 on it. Like, I think it's very good, but like, it's compared to like mystery products of the period, it's the best I've seen. Compared to some other products of the period, it's pretty average. Just in terms of like engagement, I guess as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I was also bored in it. Like, I don't think I acknowledged that, but like, yeah, I was bored during.
Oh, you fell asleep. I think, yeah, that's spoke for itself.
No, like I fell asleep because it was like just stupid late when I was watching it. Not because I mean,
Okay.
yeah, but being bored probably helped with that too. Yeah, but 7 still.
Cool. Fitzy.
I'll give it a 6. I think that it is an impressive film, but yeah, most of it is pretty boring. So yeah, 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a. I don't know. I kind of came in with the intention of not rating it, to be honest. But then I don't know. Can I do that? Can I establish those rules here? Is that allowed? I'll give it a 6 too. Sure. Yeah, why not? I think that accurately describes my overall engagement in it, regardless of how I want to look at it. Okay, let's get into news chat. There's a few things here. We got, of course, the news that apparently broke the internet. I saw someone said it broke the internet. I sort of took their word for it. I did watch the video though, and that's Deadpool 3 happening under Marvel Studios, and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. He's there, which is pretty wild. Jade, does this piss you off at all after Logan?
No, I don't care about it really. Yeah, it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does the idea of a road trip with Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, and Deadpool sound fun?
Is that what the film is?
I think so.
Yeah,
I don't know if they've confirmed that. I think that's what was going around. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Either way, you can expect Deadpool-ish stuff with.
Yeah,
Wolverine.
like that Deadpool Wolverine pairing is like the kind of like iconic in the comics. I mean, like it's kind of bound to happen.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I mean, I think this is cool. I haven't even seen Deadpool 2, so I don't really like care. But my first thought was this takes away from Logan, in my opinion, a little bit. Like, it doesn't take away from that story, but I know, like, the significance of, knowing that I'm watching Hugh Jackman's last performance as Wolverine in this story, I think does add to the film a little bit, and did add to it when I was watching it. And I don't know, it's sort of, I mean, it's not a big deal, but it has an impact on it, in my opinion, anyway.
Is it like chronological? Chronological? Is it after Logan?
It's before Logan.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
make sense.
So it doesn't break anything, but it's just more like, I think it removes some, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's closure with Logan and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a word I'm looking for, but I'm not finding it. I think everyone was like super excited by this news, and this is probably like the most like whatever.
I didn't watch the video.
Toned conversation.
I haven't seen the video yet.
Oh, okay.
I just
think
think
it's a fun video. There's two.
The appeal of Deadpool just wore off real quick. Like, it's still a fun kind of superhero product and stuff, but like, it's not exactly like, you're not getting stuff like that these days. Like, first Deadpool 2016, like that was the first time you kind of had like this fun kind of movie in that kind of genre. But like, you can get plenty of similar stuff as well nowadays as well.
Right. Breaking the fourth wall and challenging the conventions of the genre is something it's not really a novelty anymore. I get that.
Deadpool 2, I watched on aeroplane, and that was a good aeroplane movie. I thought Deadpool 2 was better.
I just
than Deadpool
can't
1.
stand the Kiwi kid in it.
Oh, really?
He sucks.
There's just more characters in Deadpool 2. It's more fun. They just bring the whole squad, you know? They got time travel. They got fucking Josh Brolin.
Whoa! Damn. I didn't know there was time travel. That's cool.
Yeah, Josh Brolin's like this cool guy.
That's interesting. Damn, I have to watch this shit, man.
No, you don't. Don't worry. It's fine.
Oh. Okay. That's the other thing. I don't know. I assume it's not in the MCU because they know it. In the video they say that Logan's canon. Like Logan happens after this, so it's like we know there's the Fox universe, obviously, that this all takes place in. So it's like, but it's a Marvel Studios product. Like the Marvel Studios logo's in the logo. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe they do something in it to bridge the multiverses or some bullshit.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah,
Sounds
with the
sounds about
multiverse
right.
open now, you can do whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the film is what it is by itself in the Fox universe. Like, oh, they don't even have to acknowledge that at all. That it just is what it is. And then like a post credit thing is like how it connects in. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else we got? We got another franchise movie that we're going to have to be tackling in years to come if the show still exists, and that's because Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has been announced. It's a new Planet of the Apes film. It's going to start shooting pretty soon, and it's a sequel to War, which I was surprised. I saw this and I sort of thought, I just sort of in my mind had always thought that trilogy was done, so I never I thought they would just reboot again, or just do something different. But it's a sequel to War. Like apparently, it's not obviously Caesar's not in it, obviously, but set years in the future. I guess they have a kingdom now, Jaden. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, even the original Planet of the Apes, I can't remember if it was the first two or the first three, but at the end of the second or third one, it ends kind of resolutely. But then but then obviously there's another couple after that. So it doesn't really surprise me that they're following that path where it seems like you got a resolute ending, but then you open it up again.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm very keen for this. It's from Wes Ball, which is kind of scary because I really like.
Yeah, I was going to ask about him.
I really like not Scorch Trials, Death Cure. I think Death Cure is actually an amazing film. I love it to bits. But just with what the Maze Runner series is, and the fact that that's his kind of main product that he's done, I don't want too many of those kind of traits coming into Planet of the Apes. But
right.
Yeah, we'll see.
It doesn't give the enormous amount of confidence as a Matt Reeves successor, I guess.
Yeah, but I love Death Cure, so maybe hopefully whatever he does bring to it is gonna.
Sure. All right. We're the Last of Us trailer. It's been a long time coming. Damn. Wow. Jade, what do you think?
I don't watch it either.
Really?
It didn't even click in my mind.
What kind of show we running here?
Yeah.
Damn. Oh
I saw the new images and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. But in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, there's no trailer. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, okay. All right. Yeah, so the HBO show, there was a trailer, and I liked it a lot. I thought it was cool. It seems like it's faithful in a lot of ways and expanding in a lot of ways as well. Like glimpses at things that you can sort of piece some things together, but obviously some new additions and things they're adding here. Like there's glimpses in the trailer of what's clearly the prologue. It looks really cool. And then there's some other recognizable characters. We finally see oh my god, what's his name? Nick Offerman as Bill in the trailer.
I saw that picture.
We see Storm Reid is playing Riley, so there's somehow going to tie in Left Behind into this, which is interesting. Probably through flashbacks and things, I imagine. So I don't know. There's a lot they're playing with here, which is cool. Like I'm into the casting so far. It's sort of hard to say, but I mean, Pedro's a great actor, so I mean, I've got total confidence in him. I'm sure Bella's great too. So that's just one of these things. I'm just gonna have to see it to know, but I trust it at the moment. I've got nothing to suggest I should doubt it really. The prosthetics, the clickers look phenomenal. I think that was a lot of people's main takeaway with that shot of the clicker. Just looks sensational. So that was really cool. and the sound design on it was like spot on, totally authentic as well. So I think the main thing the trailer was really missing for me to like everything I saw impressed me, and I'm totally going to watch it. But like the main thing it was missing to really, I think, just if it had that little bit extra like gut punch to it, that would have got me like that extra level of hyped. It was just missing Gustavo's score. I think like they used a licensed song. I didn't recognize the song, but like it worked. It was cool. I didn't dislike it, but I just thought if that trailer had some of Gustavo's score, which we know is going to be in the show, it would have just had that extra level of like, holy shit, this shit's going to be fire, which it didn't really have. But yeah, visually everything's cool, man. I'm into it. This is going to be a big show for me next year, so I'm very excited.
Do you reckon the show's going to have a photo mode?
I wish. That'd be awesome. That'd be great.
Just take screenshots. That's a photo mode.
Yeah. Do you imagine if like movies were like pioneer like that kind of technology? Like just
it's like AR bullshit where you're on the set, but somehow like it's not like
generates like the rest of the environment.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's not like and there's the cameraman, like there's the guy with the boom mic.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting that shit in the image. Yeah. That'd be crazy. Hey, I mean, at the end of the day, for this trailer, I saw there was a shot of goddamn Joel and Ellie riding on a horse, and I'm like, yeah, dude, looks cool, Now it's time for our highlights of the week. Jaden, do you want to do this? Have you got something?
I watched This Much I Know to Be True, which is the Nick Cave documentary from this year by Andrew Dominic. It's the second time they've worked together. They also did a documentary about him back in 2016, I think it was. It's just really interesting. I'm not sure how many times I've mentioned Nick Cave on the show now, but like I think in the realm of celebrities and just like kind of famous figures, he's the only person that I think I unreservedly respect, and I will always listen to his opinion, and I will actually idolize. I don't make idols of people often because they're all batshit crazy and there's always like a downside to them. But like I will stand by that. I will listen to everything that Nick Cave has to say. I think he's phenomenal, and this film is phenomenal as well. Cave is just such an interesting figure, and I think his music is just fucking just seminal, really. And like this documentary, as much as it is a documentary about him, it is also just like essentially just like a glorified kind of like live kind of album shoot where like they kind of go through songs from two of his albums of Carnage and Ghost Town, I think. And like the way that each song is shot, like in this like small in this like studio space, like I don't know, more stage space. It looks fantastic for something like close to like one room, like the light rigging and like the kind of just like the way the camera like kind of tracks and just goes around is phenomenal. But also just the small insights into Cave are fantastic. And like in the first documentary, you're told that Cave is reeling from a personal tragedy, but the tragedy is never mentioned. But everyone knows that knows Cave it was the death of his son. So like that film is incredibly depressing as he kind of navigates that thing through his music. Whereas this one's like a bit more on the up and up, where he's it's not happy or anything, but like it's past that part, and it's like it's him talking about the way, like, because he does express how faith has helped him through it, and it's really interesting seeing like the way his kind of comments on things have changed through the years, because like he's in the past, like I've read about like how his descriptions of like religion and stuff, like he calls himself a religious man, but he doesn't believe in the way that typical people believe and stuff. But like seeing the way that his ideas have changed post tragedy is really fascinating. And like I think Nick Cave will always be interesting. I think he's one of Australia's most important figures. It's like just really phenomenal. Yeah,
that's great. I feel like, forgive me for my dementia, Janice, I feel like we've talked about this 5 times, but isn't Andrew Dominic, that name rings a bell? Like
the assassination of Jesse James.
Yes, but there wasn't something else recently. Isn't he directed? Yes. Oh my god! And you watched that too? That's right. Okay, yeah. It's all coming together in my brain. Okay.
So like they're actually
I
like
see.
collaborators. It's like Dominic's New Zealand, Kiwi, and it's
Yeah.
like Nick Cave did the score for Jesse James. He did the score for Blonde. He's obviously
Right.
done these 2 films with him now. Like they do work together often.
I see. Okay. And what's this documentary on?
Movie.
What the fuck is that?
It's a streaming service for kinophiles because it shows art house films and shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
it's for wankers essentially.
Gotcha. Well put.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. I watched Ozark. I finished Ozark. Finally. I just feel like I need to talk about it. Like, there's a bit of therapy for myself after I feel like I've been watching this show for 50 years. And it was good. It was good. Like, I don't know. It's not. This isn't top tier television. Like, to be honest, throughout its runtime, and this has happened the years it's been on as well. Like, not just now, but everyone's always said, "Oh yeah, Ozark. Oh yeah, it's just basically Breaking Bad." And every time someone says that, I like actually get personally offended that someone would compare this to Breaking Bad because it's like not even. First of all, like I don't even think they're that similar. Like I don't know, they're similar in like maybe if you were to try and simplify the plot into one sentence, maybe. But I don't know, they're not different. They're not similar feeling shows at all. And I don't know, like Breaking Bad's like it's like light years ahead of it. But so it's not a show like I would recommend necessarily. I don't think this is in the conversation of like, you know, best dramas and best shows getting nominated for Emmys and stuff. Like this isn't one where I'm like, dude, you got to watch Ozark. It's incredible. Like it's not that, but it's plagued by some of the same issues throughout its run of, you know, sort of weird plot decisions. And there's always story choices that you question all the time. It's like, I don't know, are we really going in this direction? But the things that stay strong about it are, you know, its performances are phenomenal, really. Not even its characters often are sort of a bit iffy at times, just with some decisions they make and stuff. It sort of just feels weird. But performances are really good. I love the setting. I love the look of the show. Like it's the most blue show I've ever seen, but I feel like it really adds to the atmosphere of it.
Is it more
So
blue than the Bourne sequence in Ocean's 12?
it's just no, it's
Ocean's
not that
13?
blue. It's not that blue. The only thing that rivals it in blueness is probably The Handmaid's Tale, and that show's blue for no reason. It's really annoying. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's not an easy recommendation, Ozark, but I don't regret watching it. Like, it ended up being solid, and I think my main takeaway from the final season was how it was a weirdly structured season. There were 14 episodes. They were released in 2 parts, but like as someone didn't watch them as they were coming out, it sort of just felt like a big 14 episode, like never ending season. So there were a few times as I was watching this final season where I'm like, oh, this has gone off the rails. Like this story is like, what are they doing? Don't do this. And every time I thought that, like, I'll give them credit. There were things I wouldn't have done, but every single time I was like, you came back. Like that was okay. You didn't end up totally blowing it. Like that never happened. Like even the ending was like the perfect example of that, where I was like, okay, don't know if I would have done that. Definitely not top tier television, but I don't know. An episode ago, I thought this was going to be terrible, and you sort of brought it back. So I was like, yeah, okay. That was sort of the main takeaway from all of it. I think it just overall just totally does a lot right, but fails to build tension across episodes. Which is something that you sort of want TV shows to do. There was nothing propelling you through the season, I think, like which was the weird part about it. Even though scene by scene, it's very high quality, but like for example, I think I was joking about this with my dad. Like you watch the second last episode of the show, and the second last episode of the show, when it cuts to credits, someone could have told me that this show's got 5 seasons left. I'd be like, oh yeah. Oh, but no, there's actually got 1 episode left. And it just didn't feel like there was 0 sense in the momentum of the story that this was coming to an end, which was sort of an issue. But yeah, I don't know. It was good. Fitzy, what about you?
I don't know. What do you guys want me to... I got a few things.
Oh, Jesus.
American Made. Tom Cruise.
American Made? I could talk about that. American Made is Tom Cruise's best comedic performance. It is absolutely hilarious. He's this all-American guy, as the title suggests, and he's really I laughed a lot. He's really funny. He's like the most. Like, he goes into all these like dangerous situations, like drug trafficking and like working for this shady CI guy, Dom Hogleson. And he just goes in with like a kind of gung ho like attitude, and it's really fun. Like, the whole movie is, I think it's a great comedy, and it's kind of very like Rise and Foley kind of, that kind of traditional trajectory, but it is very fun.
This is a Doug Liman film, isn't it?
Yes, you've seen it,
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen it. Yeah, I just didn't remember. But for you, going back to the age-old question, I guess taking it from your impression of the comedy in it, like, where does it sit for you with Tom Cruise's performances feeling different?
This feels very different. Like, he's very, like, I read this review, like he's very relaxed in this film. It's very loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not like, level 100 intensity in this film, but like he's a kind of relatable kind of guy that just kind of gets put into these situations. He's like, fuck yeah, let's go. He kind of just says yes to everything because he like likes the adventure, but he's like not. He's like a crazy character, but he's still relatable to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As always, now it's time to hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, what is the best black and white film? Who we got?
Wait, what was Andy's review of M? What was that?
He told me not to read it.
Okay.
He said not to read it, but we did bring it up a few times. I wanted to give it its respect,
He gave it a 9 out of 10, by the way. Just
sure. Do you want me to read it now? Just quickly read it. I'll quickly read it right now. God, actually, I shouldn't make jokes about that because Andy's question of the show is super long. Oh my God. Okay, let's get started. Jai said, The Dark Knight. Luke said, just to make Jaden cream his pants, I'll say All Quiet on the Western Front. And then I'm going to scroll down.
I appreciate that he wants me to cream my pants.
Yeah, and then that get into a whole thing on the Discord about that as a subplot, I guess. Luke then also says, On the Waterfront is a good shout as well. Tag that onto my answer, please, Zach. Maybe Jaden can arrange some authentic blowhorn chip sounds for the segue between segments. I won't be arranging it, but yeah. Okay. Andy needed 2 or 3 days to come back with an answer, and he's come back with it. I'm going to have to create a separate timestamp just for his answer. Okay, so everyone on the YouTube version, feel free to skip it. No offense, Andy, but I just have to. I'm the host here. I have to make decisions like that. Andy said, plenty of stunning choices when it comes to black and white films, especially some of my, Bergman's films, which deserve an honourable mention. I like the way his films are lit and shot in black and white are absolutely gorgeous and reflect strongly with the characters that he writes. A man that understands the black and white language through mood and atmosphere. Anyways, this apparently took me 2 days to decide, but ultimately it was an easy choice. God, all right. My favourite black and white film of all time, as of now, is Francois Truffaut's film, The 400 Blows is what it's called. I get this is probably the most basic French New Wave film there is, because almost everyone will say that it is the best film in that movement. And why wouldn't it be? It's pretty hard to ignore how beautiful The 400 Blows is. Antoine Doinel is arguably the most charming, mischievous, innocent, and misunderstood main character there is. It just feels right that there is childhood needed to be perfectly portrayed in black and white. That his childhood needed to be perfectly portrayed in black and white. An absolute masterpiece. Hopefully Zach didn't have a hard time pronouncing those names. Yeah. Which I shall apologise in advance. Thanks, Andy. God, he just knows me so well. If we're looking at it from a modern scope, I would dare say Francis Ha. Directed by... Oh, that's the name of the film. Okay. Directed by Noah Baumbach. I always say, God, help me. Which I've mentioned once again for this segment. It simply feels timeless the way black and white is shot, and only with a consumer level DSLR camera as well, something that is usually convenient for peasants like us. Me choosing a modern black and white film might enable someone to choose Malcolm and Marie as their favourite, so yeah, I can respect that option any time of the day. It was also my prediction for Zach's answer because it's weak. I'm sure hardcore fans of On the Waterfront would agree with me on that. Deep breath. Okay, I'm just recovering, guys. Sorry. Fitzy had to duck out. I have to take a breath. Thank you for
Had to
writing,
readjust my clothes.
Recalibrate.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for writing in, Andy. And Andy, your prediction, may I say, of Malcolm and Marie being my favorite black and white film is completely correct. No, it's not. I'm joking. It's not. It's probably, I don't know, out of like the 6 I've seen, it's probably ranks in the top 3, I guess. My answer is 12 Angry Men because it's awesome. Totally rules. I thought it was totally awesome when we watched it in the legal some years ago. You can understand why, I'm sure. And I really enjoyed it then. But it was one of those things where it was like, I don't know, I wasn't really viewing it through the lens of like, because I didn't put it on at home because still don't really know anything about films of that era. I was sort of I enjoyed it through the lens of it being a film you watch at school, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like that's almost a different scale of enjoyment where like, this is in front of me in class and I'm forced to watch it. How much do I enjoy it with that in mind, you know? So then when, I think it was last year, I actually watched it at home by my own accord and just to see how, try and look at it differently, look at it more critically, and to see how much it actually connected with me in a different setting. And I thought it totally ruled as well. I love it. I think it's awesome. Fantastic film. So that only cemented it for me as a fantastic movie. Yeah. Jaden, was this how hard was this for you? Like, how many options did you have to go through?
It's super hard.
I
Like,
can
I've
imagine.
got 4 potentials sitting open next to me, and I'm like, I love these films for so many different reasons. But I think I will. Look, all right. So, All Quiet on the Western Front is the obvious answer. Luke got that for me. Fine, fair enough. But I think I will say that Lahane, whatever it is.
Leitmotif.
What? Yeah, shut up. No, it's a French film from like '95, starring Vincent Cassel, and it's just kind of about, I don't know, it's just about youth and just, you know, growing up on the projects board and, you know, finding something to do. It's just phenomenal. I know Liam disagrees to an
What?
extent. Yeah, it is
I
7.
think
Like,
so.
I'm talking about it like through the lens of a 10. I know you like it, but I'm talking about it through the lens of a 10.
Probably
Like,
saw it
it
when I
is
was
just
14, to be fair. But okay. Sorry, I want to interrupt.
It's just phenomenal. It just sticks like it's just I can't even really describe it and talk about it. It's just like the feeling it crafts and the feeling it reflects is just, I don't know. It's just easily just identifiable and just relatable and just kind of, but you know, simultaneously very alien. The performances are amazing and the story is fantastic and just gut wrenching as well. I don't know, like it's something that is always on my mind. Honestly, like there's this one shot of these guys walking down the street, and there's a billboard, and there's like there's a picture of the world on it, and it says the world is yours or something like that. I think in French. And one of the guys he crosses it out and says the world is ours, and it's just so simple and fucking just fantastic and just amazing. But like just like through like a shit something that says like that is just stuck with me, and like the opening monologue about like this guy's falling and he doesn't know when he's gonna end. Like it's just like what it does is just fucking amazing. Yeah.
What about, so how did it communicate the sign change to you? Like, was it a subtitle thing?
Yeah, so like all you have to do to change yours to ours in French is cross out one letter and change it. So the start is just like it is just the subtitles changing.
That's convenient.
Oh,
Yeah.
That you have to cross out one letter in each language.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Liam, what about you?
I think my favorite black and white film is Das Weiße Band, which is the white ribbon.
Holy shit. I don't know, but that sounded like perfect pronunciation.
Yeah, I looked it up. I looked up what you were trying to like. Yeah, this is a better black and white German film about child abuse than M. Yeah. But it's about World War II Germany. It's kind of about so it's just follows like this village. It's kind of about the culture which kind of created, like the Nazis, I guess, or the kind of it's just the vibe of the Germans before World War II, what kind of led into that, and it's like it's a very like violent, not violent, it's very gruesome kind of film, very disturbing, and it follows kind of these random crimes that happen in this village to the adults, and you kind of, I guess it's a mystery. You kind of try and figure out who it is, and like there's all this kind of resentment in this community and like bitterness, and as the film goes on, you kind of get more and more of a holistic picture of the whole village. Like you kind of follow all these characters, but there's like this good guy teacher that kind of like centers the whole film. I guess you kind of see him through his perspective. But the film is just like gorgeous. It is like amazingly shot. It's shot by Marco Haneke, who is great, just great French director. It's like the lighting in the film is like, I think it's like all natural lighting or some shit. It's really incredible looking film, and it's a really shocking film as well. Yeah, some might call it like, misery porn or whatever, but I think it's really genuinely really great. So yeah.
Films that people call misery porn so rarely are misery porn. It's just that they can't handle it. Like, it's just...
Yeah, most films, I like misery porn films usually. Yeah,
just love feeling shit about yourself.
Yeah, like feeling that the world is bad. Yeah.
All right. As always, we'd love you to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews for next week's film in the YouTube comments section. Send us a DM on Instagram or join the Discord. This week, Fizzy doesn't know this yet. We're asking you, what is your favourite musical instrument? Let us know.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's nice.
But yeah, just James on I thought it was fantastic.
That's actually really great. Yeah.
All right. That's it for this week's episode of Cinema Effect. Fitzy, what are we doing next week?
We're doing The Piano. The Piano. It's a New Zealand film. It's on Stan. It's by the director of The Power of the Dog, Jane Campion.
Are you trying to speak in a Kiwi accent right now? Is that what you're doing?
No. No.
So it came across like that.
Oh, did it? That's funny. But yeah, it's got some big stars. I guess, is this a popular film? I don't know. It's kind of come into my radar recently, but I don't know. It's interesting. It won an award, I think. It won like the Cannes or something. Cannes Film Festival. Okay. I don't know. It won something.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's just on Stan, so yeah.
Check it out on Stan. Very good. Support our beloved Stan. All right. That's it for this week's episode. Thanks everyone for tuning in once again. Thanks Jade and Liam for joining me as always. We'll see you all next time. Take care and goodbye.